Hello, this video will be titled Lead by Example. And to tell you the truth, we do not have too many good examples of leadership, but yet we vote and we go along with what the government has been doing so far. And right now, we are at a point where people are getting off of their behinds and getting out in the streets to let the politicians and all who would listen know that they are not satisfied with some of the decisions that the government has been making. Not recently, but I'm talking about this has been going on for quite some time. But I do not want to give people an out because this is mostly our fault. When you allow yourself to be misgoverned, mistreated, and you don't do anything about it, you get what you're supposed to get. Now, granted, you would think people with a law degree, you would think people with a political science degree would care about their constituents and the people that voted them into office. But what we have seen is that this is not the case. For example, it's been, I don't know, they said 1776 since the Constitution was ratified or put into play, okay? But let me ask you, did the founders of the Constitution obey the Constitution, or did they write it for you to obey and for them to disobey? Because they set the standard for today. And exactly what is happening in the Oval Office and government, in the courts, in the police stations, in the streets. You see, we have allowed our government officials to act like bad children. And children are not bad. You let them, without giving them the proper instruction and discipline, do things that they should not be doing, and so they get used to it. And that's exactly what's happening in our governmental system. Now, I have been trying to sound the alarm for some time about Social Security, about, when somebody shows you who they are the first time, you have to believe them. Just because they look like you don't mean that they care about you. You see, the way that the media portrays is that if I'm black, I can't have everybody's welfare in my mind. And as a part of my job, I can't look out for everybody because I'm not built that way. And nothing could be further from the truth. Some of the most sympathetic people in the world are black, even though they were hung, burned alive, stolen from their country and everything. And everybody is tired of hearing that, but you're going to keep hearing it because that is the history of this country and so many other countries. And I'll tell you something. This history of black folks here is exact replica of the history of Africa and so many other places. So you would best, if you were really thinking, you would put your money on somebody of color because they automatically know some of the realities of this current system. They know what it feels like to be mistreated. They know what it feels like to be there and not be seen, heard. They know your problems before you have a problem. And just because all of a sudden some people decided that enough is enough, and they decided to come out into the streets and out in front of Social Security offices and talk about the things that have been done, but mismanagement of funds, disrespect of people, longer wait times, so many overpayments that you start to wonder they changed the law so that it'll benefit them and not us. An overpayment should never be held against the person that's receiving the money when they're the one that pay into the system. You didn't say there was an overpayment when they took billions or trillions out of Social Security and applied it to other departments. Especially, we have to look at why we spend so much money on defense when defensively we're probably one of the most best defended countries out here in the world. And yet you still go on and on and on. It's almost like you setting up America for destruction. What do? You want to destroy yourself? Because I'm not buying this program where you take all this money and you give it to the Department of Defense, okay? But then you have nothing for social services, which you prey on in order to get your tax money. And now you're alienating all our allies with tariffs. And this unholy relationship that we have with Israel needs to be fully looked into and uncovered. Now, I'll tell you something. It is it's extremely difficult to live and understand that you have been living in this country all your life, except for the time that you spent, serving, and they tell you that the money that you supposedly invested in yourself by letting the government hold that money, they tell you that, hey, we have to cut. We may not have new money for you. But when you owe them, they take from you. Social Security will take from you whether they're right or wrong, and they have not invested a dime into that fund. And I'm talking about the people who are making decisions. How do you come to the conclusion that you're going to allow somebody that's not even from here, that is a billionaire, to make decisions about people who aren't billionaires? How in the world could you even dream of something like that? Because we know that they never knew what it was to be like you. And when you don't elect somebody from you or your community, this is what happens. And what we have been finding out is you wanted somebody smart. You wanted the smartest as, your governmental representatives. So the smartest people take care of themselves first, because you haven't taken care of yourself and your people first. I will tell you this. Digital dollar, right? That makes it so easy for everybody to know what you have and to shut it off just like water whenever they want to. Now, for all my TikTok fans, I have to cut you off, but I just want to say there's a very special person. Gigi, happy birthday. Look, America, take care of yourself and lead by example.